All right, we are live. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We are here for Trekker's Delight, Trek That, the year that was 2024. It is tonight for me and William. It's Sunday night, December 29th. For Manny joining us from Abu Dhabi, it is already December 30th, but we're still in 2024. We're not crossing that date line just yet. But we're going to take time tonight. Thank Manny Eunice and William Walfer for joining me tonight as we're going to do a look back at everything that we got brand new of Star Trek this year and our thoughts on how the year went and maybe a little bit of hopes for the future. First things first, let's roll that intro. All right, so we had a good amount of Trek this year. We just still haven't gotten that elusive 300 and 52 straight weeks of Trek, but I think they've kind of given up on that. Just didn't seem to be feasible. What we did get first in on air, we had season 5 of Star Trek Discovery, where we said goodbye to Michael Burnham and her crew in the far off future of the 31st century. And with episodes Red Directive dropping on April 4th, as well as Under the Twin Moons. And then that carried us through till the end of May. Now, for Trekker's Delight, since we didn't have any new episodes, we did some deep dives into Black culture on Star Trek for African American History Month. And then we did Women on Star Trek for Women's History Month in March. So be sure to check out Trekker's Delight live feed from Thursday nights during February and March of this past year. We had some really good, deep conversations on depictions of race and sexuality, and definitely encourage you to check it out. So yeah, so that Discovery carried us into the spring with life itself, and then we said goodbye to Discovery. They had known that it was going to be the final season, so they filmed an additional 15-minute coda on that final episode, Life Itself, to wrap everything up. During this whole time, we were wondering, when are we going to get Prodigy Season 2? We had heard the news in late 2023 that Prodigy was saved by Netflix, that Season 2 was going to drop. In February, it did drop on Netflix in France. So if you had a VPN and could speak fluent French, you were able to watch Prodigy in February. And Mandy, you did that, right?
Yes, I did. Yeah, that was great.
So how was the experience watching?
It's totally different because the voice actors are different, right? So honestly, I had to turn it off because it's like when you watch One Punch Man or something where the voices are different, and you're like, or Goku, Dragon Ball and stuff, and some people only watch it in Japanese or whatever, and so no, I couldn't watch it because the voice actors were all weird. So
yeah, they just dropped a second season of Squid Game on Netflix. I watched the first season when it was brand new. I went in cold without any spoilers, and I watched it in the original Korean with the subtitles. My dad decided to start watching it last night, and he watched the one with the English dubbing, and it's just not the same. But all right, so then we finally did get Prodigy Season 2, all 20 episodes, dropping on July 1st. So that was starting with Into the Breach, part 1 and 2. And of course, they all dropped at once. So some people went ahead and watched it all that first.
William did, right? You watched it like all at once, right?
I couldn't help it.
Yeah. I remember you were like live. You were messaging us as it was going on and stuff.
I mean, I think I hope I messaged things like, "Oh my god," like stuff like that. But like when it came down to the show, there were certain parts of I remember throughout July and the early part of August, and whatnot, that there were parts of the conversation that I actively could not and glad I didn't participate in, because it was just eating at my soul, because I was just like, don't react, like as I'm watching. Like, you got because I think you were there maybe once or twice, and then I remember Jermaine maybe there once or twice, and then there was Marie, then there was Keith, and there was Jason, and everyone's just having to talk, and I'm just like, oh my god, if only you knew. Let me just shush.
Well, Jason did watch ahead with you as well. It was Maria and I who were pacing ourselves and only watching up to the episodes that we were talking about. I didn't want to. We were doing it 2 episodes at a time,
right?
In order to pad it out over the course of 10 weeks, and I did not want to get ahead of myself.
Yeah,
because I knew I would give something away because of the way the story was structured. So
I'm all about it. I'm so forgetful that, like, you guys can spoil. Like, I haven't watched it all yet, even with Discovery and stuff. I haven't finished those last 2 episodes. Like, I'll just forget. So people,
it was just
spoil it for me. I don't care.
It was just like, I'm definitely a binge watcher of television anyway, but like I was more so worried because my Facebook and not so much Instagram, but my Facebook and TikTok algorithm knows my interests.
Right.
I was worried the spoilers were gonna come, and
smart,
and
so you
Keith,
got through it.
didn't you run into one by accident near
That's
the tail?
Yeah, Trek Culture, because they were putting out 4 or 5 episodes at a time with their reviews, and they went ahead and put up Will Wheaton, Wesley Crusher's return early on, and then I just had to ignore Trek Culture for a couple months.
Brutal.
But yeah, it was a great
good
show.
on you for having that discipline.
Yeah. I usually I'm okay with spoilers from time to time. In fact, sometimes I was a journalist in high school, and I had that backing. I like to be the guy in the know.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I could tell you, like, the last season of The West Wing here in the United States, I followed the production on the Television Without Pity forum all through the final 2 seasons. So I knew everything that happened in each episode, like 3-4 months before it aired.
Oh wow!
But it made it more interesting to me.
I get that.
I knew some of the things that were coming.
I had a similar couple of conversations with William, and he's like, "You have to go watch these things." I still haven't, but he's like, "These are the reasons." And I remember we had, and he's like, "This is why." I think I talked to you guys at one point about an episode with Chakotay.
Yes,
because God bless. I haven't actually seen the episode, guys, about pressure dynamics and density layers, right?
Yeah, that would be Last Flight of the Protostar.
And I still have to like go back and like do a whole lecture for you guys.
Well, without giving it away, the overarching, I won't say theme, but centered problem that the Federation has was after the Dominion War, they became spread too thin. Yeah. I kind of want to put it at that point, because I'm sure they lost a lot of ships, like, right? And because from Lower Decks to Prodigy to Shades of Picard, and then the future Discovery, it shows that the Federation is starting to spread itself too thin after the end of the Dominion War, right? Would you agree, Keith, or is that?
Yeah, let's talk. We'll talk about this more after we go through the run through of everything we had this year,
right?
Because I could definitely say, with 5 seasons of Lower Decks, 2 seasons of Prodigy, we now have a near seamless connection from the end of Voyager to the beginning of Picard. Yep. Even though that's a 20-year gap, those 7 seasons of Star Trek filled big chunks of the gap up. So
yep.
And Lower Decks even filled some of the gap on the Lost era, which is fantastic.
Now we just need Star Trek Titan.
Right. Yeah. Oh, and Star Trek Legacy, and
And
of
Legacy.
course we're beginning Section 31 in January, which
That's
will
right.
supposedly fill some of the gap of the early 2300s.
So a lot of Star Trek projects.
Yes.
The Academy, that new not rom-com, but that new sitcom one with Mariner Beckett.
The live action one. I think
Yeah,
she was.
yeah.
I don't know if she's going to be in it, but I think she's pushing for it, right?
She's in it.
She's writing it. She's the head writer.
Oh.
She's been
Oh, she's
Oh, I
writing.
thought she was starring in it.
No, she's the showrunner.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
Okay. So yeah. So then we had 20 weeks of Prodigy,
Mhm.
which did wrap up into the beginning of Picard. We'll talk about that more in a second. Then we had, starting in October, we had the 5th season of Lower Decks. Now, we were told early on that this would be the last season of Lower Decks. In fact, the very first episode we did expect that was William and I screaming, "How dare you!"
I lost my shit.
Yeah.
It's like what?
And
Yeah.
we got 10 beautiful episodes, like really beautiful how they all came together, and it all wrapped up 2 weeks ago with the new Next Generation. And there's promise of there's definite, we'll talk more about this once I go through all of this stuff, but the definite opportunities for spin-offs and promise for the future coming out of it. All right, beyond what we saw on screen, we also had the Star Trek comics. Now you had the mainline Star Trek, and then you had a special Lower Decks series. So
that looks so good with Cisco in the front there. Oh
yeah,
my god!
We had Star Trek Sons of Star Trek miniseries released in March, April, and May.
I'm Alexander. That's me. That's me.
So you had Solicitation. In the aftermath of Kahless' harrowing Day of Blood, Jake Sisko struggles to find his place in the universe now that his family has been reunited and his father, Ben, has once again saved the galaxy. Meanwhile, Alexander Rozhenko is recovering mentally and emotionally from his time as one of Kahless' devout followers. So in 2023, they had the Day of Blood, where the mainline Star Trek comic merged with the Star Trek Defiant comic series, and where they took down Kahless because he's leading a group of rogue Klingons to kill
these god killers, right?
Beings. Yeah. And
So
now it's following up on Alexander's story, while also picking up on Jake and Nog. And see what else they said. There's another one here.
The Red Path.
Yeah, that was the group. That was Kahless' group, the Red Path cult. So that continued. See, they had the alternate covers here. Oh, look at that great cover of Ben and Jake shucking the.
I'm very interested in reading that one. I want to know how they run their restaurant.
These are alternate covers? They're not different comics?
Yeah, they do alternate covers for every thing on IDW.
Oh, wow.
And sometimes it's different artists.
These are so good.
Then so the Star Trek, we had Jake, Nog, and Alexander.
That's badass.
Working with Q Jr.
I'm gonna say, I wondered how I saw a clip of Q Jr. today, and I was like, oh my god, I wonder how he's doing. Like,
oh, look who's on that alternate cover there.
Okay, Mariner.
Nice
uniform
on a separate comic.
Yeah, it's different, right?
Yeah, it's different. Oh, is that young Alexander?
Young Alexander, yeah.
With a report card? Who has a report card in paper in the 24th century? I love it.
That's crazy.
It must have been a time travel field trip.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Did you read these, dude?
I didn't read any of these. I didn't know about this series. I have been so behind.
Because I want to ask if you ever saw that Alexander Rozhenko, because we do have a time loop episode, right? Like, so.
Yeah. I finished the Day of Blood a couple months ago, and that resolved the Red Path storyline with Alexander, where you literally had Worf and Alexander fighting to the death at the base of a pillar that Kahless was sitting atop, while Ben Sisko was trying to fight Kahless.
Okay, for my birthday, I'm totally ordering all of these.
Yeah. So now you don't need to get every single cover, but there are some covers that are just beautiful.
I mean, wow.
Yeah, so that went from March through June, so 4 issues to check out. We did have the 500th issue of Star Trek Comics that came out in September. It included the story "I Knew You Were Tribble When You Walked In," written by David Gerrold. Oh no, written by Patton Oswalt and Jordan Bloom. Oh, that's fantastic.
I love it when like real fans write stuff.
Yesterday's Shadows, La'an has difficulty interviewing Sam Kirk while trying to reconcile her feelings about the alternative timeline Jim. The Unexpected Mentor about Captain Michael Burnham helps a young girl of her fears and learn that we are not alone. Latinum Glove, he might not be able to throw, but he can sure catch. I'm guessing that's a reference to Rom.
Maybe Rom?
Yeah. Go see Cal. Rutherford and Tendi learn that buying a bi-neutral compensator from a Ferengi for their new sentient android wasn't the best decision to make. What's a Q to you? Q Jr. has the sniffles and a new appreciation for comics readers.
Does he break the fourth wall?
I'm guessing so. And then the final masterpiece, following the events of Star Trek 23, Lore has plans for a new and improved reality, so his brother Data had better get to work and finish in time. And that's teasing a new series coming in March of next year, Star Trek Lore War #1. But there you see the fold-out poster.
That old chestnut.
He never
stops. Man, look at that young Picard in the...
Oh, yeah. With hair?
In the old Academy uniform.
Look at Beverly Crusher in the back there, man. They did her dirty. I don't know what anyone else wants to say, but like...
They cover some of it in Prodigy. Okay. So then we had in October, Lower Decks Warp Your Own Way interactive graphic novel.
Interesting.
It's like a choose your own adventure?
Yeah.
It's like a game where you get to choose your own ending, right?
I believe so. I didn't. Like I said, I've been behind on.
Or maybe it's or maybe it's the perspective of different characters, right?
She has Frappuccino, cue the Romulan boarding party. If she has coffee, Borg attack.
It's a choose your own adventure.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I have one from the '60s, a choose your own adventure game book of Star Trek, and that was
nice.
All right, then we had the ongoing series of Star Trek. That's the one led by Ben Sisko, returned by the Prophets. And
they're really using Sisko up in this.
Yeah. Well, this is the mainline comic now, and you see this is 2023, so it had. And it's not giving any.
This is the God Killer stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like here in March 2023, that's when you had Worf trying to face his fears, and that's when you had the break off and him going off to do the.
Look at that uniform for Sisko right there.
Yeah, they were on the USS Theseus on this mission, and they had this crazy uniform with these big bars instead of pips, and here so you can see Data in the uniform. He was on the ship as well, and that was before Data.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. This was before. Okay.
No. This is before Programmed with Data's memories.
The one that's after. The one that's left at the end of Picard.
Right.
After Nemesis.
Oh, sorry.
Right.
After Nemesis.
Right. Between Nemesis and the first Star Trek remake, right?
Yeah.
Look at this.
On the Theseus, you had... On the Theseus, it was Sisko in command, medical officer Bev Crusher, operations and first officer was Data. Your helmsman was Tom Paris, and your chief engineer was Scotty.
It's like
there's some time traveling involved.
No. Remember, Scotty was stuck in the pattern buffer, and the
that's
next
right.
Yeah, that's him. And he designed and built the Theseus.
So it's an old one, yeah.
Yeah. Then you had Worf. Yes, you see the crew there.
Dude, these covers, you're going so fast over these covers. They are, go up a little. Sorry, stop. You see Crusher, look at that trippy nonsense, and then go back up to Data.
I'm not gonna lie.
Covers up.
It makes me want to say, what did you get yourself
into? Look at this
now?
thing. Look down. This one here, the variant cover here with the plant. Yeah, look at that thing.
Yeah.
Look at this Jodorowsky, crazy Dolly-esque, look at this thing.
That's Jake Bartok's cover for #6 from April 2023.
That's amazingly surreal. Sorry, keep going, brother. I just wanted to stop and appreciate these things.
Oh, no problem.
I feel like we're in a museum right now. I love this.
Yeah, so that was the crew of the Theseus going there, and let's
Wow.
see, they returned to Deep Space Nine,
That looks like the Titan for a second.
Wow.
and
This is Cisco heavy though, eh? It's like
who's he?
driven.
yeah,
Who's he? I
Cisco
don't
is the
recognize
main
him.
on this.
Who's that?
I don't recognize
Uh,
him. Who's that?
He was the science officer on the Theseus. It's
Okay.
New
it's like
character?
Milan or so, yeah, new character for the comic.
Oh, okay.
Let's see.
The newly established Obsidian Council.
Yeah,
Look
that's
at
who's
these new
running
intro.
Cardassia.
Yeah.
Yeah, they cover fully what happened to Cardassia after the Dominion War.
Ooh. Does Garrick does Garrick be in charge? Is he in
No.
charge now?
No, it's what's his name? Damar. Damar's illegitimate son.
He survived? I thought they killed Damar's whole family.
No, legitimate children were killed.
Illegitimate.
His illegitimate son survived, and he took control.
I forgot he was an alcoholic and a whore.
I didn't know it was a whore.
No, I forgot. No, I really forgot that bit. They mentioned it once.
Oh yes, we got a commenter here.
Oh, right on. Already.
Talking about Lower Decks there. Impressed with Marina. I'm guessing that's Mariner and Boimler's development. And then with the comics here, didn't Cisco say, yes, he'd be back? Well, he said he'd be back maybe tomorrow,
maybe a year, or maybe yesterday.
And of course, we know Avery Brooks has said no to every offer that they've made. So if we want more of him, we have to settle for the comics.
It ruins it though. Like, whatever, man.
Well, the comics.
Then recast him.
Yeah,
I know that's probably controversial, but like,
honestly, why not? Like, I mean, we've done it before, right?
Black Panther also hits it in the fields where you're like,
yeah.
But this is a person choosing not to revisit this role.
Right. Yeah, that's a choice. Like, that's a choice.
Well, and we've had others do that in the past, and they have recasted. But yeah.
Well, because wasn't the actress that played Ensign Rose supposed to be
yeah, it was supposed to be a bigger role.
Kira's
Yes. They were throwing everything at Michelle Forbes to get her to be the on Deep Space Nine, and she wouldn't do it. So they rewrote. They created Kira to replace Ro.
What's crazy is I can see Ro on Deep Space Nine. I can see.
She would have been perfect.
Yeah. Now I love Kira. I love Kira. I love her. I mean, great. But like, I can see Ro.
I love that we had a different, strong female Bajoran, which kind of established that female Bajorans were strong. Like, not just having Ro again. Like, that for me was better having Kira. But regardless, Michelle Forbes was also supposed to have a larger expanded role in the Picard thing, right? And then they had to short circuit.
She's in now. She does come back as a main cast member on the Defiant series, which follows Worf on the Defiant with Ro, Sela, Lore, and B'Elanna Torres.
Sela. Hey, girl.
Wow.
So let's see. This is all 2023.
Oh my God! Wait! He's a little cute. Hold on. Like,
Hugh. Yes. Hugh showed up at the end of last year.
I know he did.
They wasted him too,
bro. They did not have to kill him like that. That was so unnecessary.
They have really done. And Icheb, man, they did him dirty. I recently posted a pro Icheb post where they put together a thing on Icheb. They throw these amazing characters. Just throw them away.
I would much rather they not bring up the characters at all than kill them just badly. Like, like, just don't bring it up.
So here's the Defiant series, picked up with number 11 in February 2024. The Defiant crew faced their most dangerous bounty in the finale of Defiant Arc 2. Iosian gangster Benny the Munch is in town looking to expand his turf, and he's not stopping until he owns every living being in the galaxy. Meanwhile, when Captain Worf sends Namira on an undercover mission for the infamous mobster's grand plans, she finds herself volunteering her captain to fight Benny's prize Gorn goon in a Creole death tournament known as the Kashbakt Death Crucible. Whoops.
I was gonna say, who comes up with this? And then I'm just like, oh, Trekkies.
Just look at that cover. It's Gorn in fedoras.
That's great.
I'm just like, yo, you pretty much have Star Trek xenomorphs playing poker.
Yeah.
Oh my god, this artwork
Oh,
is
wow.
beautiful.
It's really good.
They really learn to get along, don't they?
Looks like it. Wow.
It's
So
a passion. Anything that's born out of passion will have like
It
people
has
who
some
thoughtfully like apply themselves.
Oh
you
my
know?
god, is that the
the
thing from
crawling
the
thing from
TNG, right?
TNG Conspiracy season 1.
Yes.
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 Yeah, they get
I
from
like to
I want
think
your
that
opinion on that, Keith.
yeah.
Is that Red Gill or the Bluegill canon? You know the stuff from the video game? Where
Yeah.
Mm.
I believe it's considered canon because they tried to pull off of what had been done previously.
Okay, because there's a lot of stuff in the video game that explains like the Iconian stuff and
Oh yeah,
Bluegill stuff.
I mean, Star Trek Online is not canon to the pure main story, but a lot of the stuff that they used as backup for it is.
Okay.
Yeah, because they had the Enterprise F lasting another 8 years, whereas we saw in Picard it getting shut down.
Oh, so there's an inconsistency already. Okay, so then it already makes
or
it not
2401.
canon.
Yeah.
Okay, I've just always wanted to ask that.
Yeah, imagine now. I would love to see this on screen, but you can settle for it in the comics. B'Elanna and Ro on a ship together.
Bro, all I want is just one very brief fight scene. Just one. Super brief. Like and then work together in the end. Because that is some badassery. That is like ultimate. That's like Jean Grey and Wanda meeting for the first time.
Oh, all right. Let's get through the rest of these comics. They did a series in late 2023 called Star Trek Picard's Academy, in which it's just a comic of Picard's Academy days that went into the beginning of 2024. You can see here the issue number 4 in January. So just them being able to do background on the story. Then number 5 continued. Yeah, Starfleet's evasive maneuvers exam has turned into an actual battle for survival as Jean-Luc and his classmates find themselves facing the very real threat of death by vacuum in space.
Ooh.
So this is kind of
my goodness,
teen angst in Star Trek with young Picard.
I really like the choice of animation. So it has a Prodigy Lower Decks feeling to it, but a more, I don't know, it's a nostalgia filter almost on it, but like it's particular to this, right? So, by the way, I hate that uniform.
Oh yeah,
I think it's the worst uniform in all of Star Trek, second only to the motion picture nonsense or whatever of those things.
The unitards, yeah.
But they make them look not terrible. There's a sort of diffusion on them. That's nice.
This looks Lower Decks
February of this year. So, all right, next we have a series that just started last month, and that's a new Lower Decks series. So they had done a 3-issue Lower Decks back in 2023,
right?
And this one is different. It's like they respond to a distress call from Deep Space 2. Moopsie attack,
bro. Okay, give this
to with Moopsie.
Oh my god! I want to see a Moopsie versus a Xenomorph.
And there you see Lower Decks versus original TNG.
I saw that cover.
Yeah, I saw that. Like,
that cover is floating around. It's what's currently on shelves for Lower Decks.
It does kind of give like an X-Men feel to it.
Yeah.
By the way, there is an X-Men crossover with Star Trek.
Yes, there is.
A couple of them.
Back when Marvel had the Star Trek license, yes.
How does it work with Professor X then?
It's badass. Go ahead, man.
It was before the X-Men movies.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
There's a great cover. The back of the cover is Spock playing 3-dimensional chess with Beast, and Beast is like perched on a chair. It's amazing.
Oh, that's brilliant.
All right. And this is the third one, which will be out in January. And then they give us they don't give us the alternate covers. They just give the main cover for the future issues, issue 4, and then issue 5, where we'll wrap up.
Gotta catch them all.
Yep. I'll probably pick those up because I really enjoyed the Lower Decks comics. And of course,
could you buy these en masse? Is there a place I can just be like, I want all 500 of these?
IDW's website. You can buy them on there. You can buy them electronically and have the digital copies, or you can buy the print copies and they'll send them to you.
Okay.
Or another thing you do is just find a good comic dealer that like if there's one close to home for you that you can track down that would send the stuff to you. That way you're helping support small business as well.
I used to go to my local comic book store or whatever, but I also used to buy them as anthologies.
Mm.
You know, like when they're like one huge run in one big fat graphic novel-esque like comic.
Yeah, I've done that. Like I bought Old Man Logan from Marvel X-Men as the anthology, and like the Flash comics from a few years ago as well.
Cool.
Okay, so we have coming in 2025 Lore War, and that'll be out in March.
That
that's
smile,
cool. That's
that
so
devious
good.
smile.
So that's the comics we have yet to come, of course, with regular Star Trek Continuing and
Look at
Defiant as well.
this. That's Lower Decks beneath it, right?
Yeah, that's Lower Decks art design there, yes. So that's
But the one above it, look at that.
Yeah,
that is whoa.
Yeah,
that's a whole other level. Like, whoa. Sorry.
It's okay.
Look at this. Is that Cisco popping out of Lore's head?
Yeah,
I was gonna
Cisco,
say-
Worf, Crusher, and a couple other I can't tell. But yeah.
It has a Robin Williams manic feel to the Lore face, man. It's
Oh,
intense.
I can't tell, but if I didn't know any better, I'd say that was Tasha Yar in the very end over there.
Yeah, for real.
At the forehead, right there.
Yeah, yeah.
If it's Lore's head, I'm gonna say no to Tasha because
yeah, why would he know her? Right.
It's maybe someone from the Theseus.
Yeah, probably. Okay, so going over now to print books from Simon and Schuster. Now, Simon and Schuster is no longer owned by Paramount, but they still have the exclusive license for all Star Trek books. So we have the newly released Strange New Worlds Asylum.
Is the author's name is Una?
Una McCormick.
She's a real person?
Yes,
it's a dude.
She's an excellent writer. She's been doing all the Strange New Worlds novels. She did the Picard novels too. So she did the novel that connected Picard to the end of Nemesis.
That's crazy that she is named Una. It's a super rare name, and writing a book about Strange New Worlds in which there's a character named Una, which is also crazy rare as a name.
Yeah. And she was on the writing staff for season 1 of Picard.
What?
Yeah. And I think she was on Voyager for the final season as a writer. So there's Strange New Worlds Asylum. Then we have Lost to Eternity, which is set in the movie era for the original series. That's been out for a couple months now. Written by Greg Cox. Then there's Strange New Worlds, The High Country, that came out earlier this year by John Jackson Miller. And that was the first book from Strange New Worlds. Now, it had come out in 2023 in hardcover, but it was paperback for this year. So that was earlier in the year. And then I think that's it for... Oh, yeah. Then there's Picard Firewall by David Mack. They've been doing excellent books following Seven of Nine.
I recognize that one.
Yeah, I think that one might have come out. The Pliable Truths, yeah, that came out late last year. So, okay, so this would came out either late last year or early this year. Then, otherwise in Trek, we had, of course, if you are a reader of Titan Magazine, Star Trek Explorer, they only did 5 issues this year.
I love knowing a librarian. Keith, I just gotta say, brother, I'm so sorry to interrupt you. It is so cool that you know all this stuff. Like, it's so cool. Like, and by the way, I love that I'm sitting here with the three of you and we're all actually enthusiastic about this stuff. But like, that you are a librarian and that you know this stuff. Thank you, man. Thank you for showing us all this stuff. Thank you.
Oh, no problem.
Please go.
I just know that when we had the 50th anniversary of Star Trek back in 2016, there were comics, there were a couple books, but otherwise, all we got was Star Trek Beyond. We didn't get any TV. It was going to be another year until Discovery came out. And yeah, all we got was Beyond for the 50th anniversary. There wasn't even a 50th anniversary special, which is really annoying.
Yeah.
And of course, depending on now, most people, I tend to tie the birth date to the date Star Trek first aired. But if you want to go really into the weeds, officially the 60th anniversary was last month, because November 24th, 1964 was when they started making the cage.
Oh, making.
So I was
So it's
really
been
just about to
60
ask
years
that.
since Star Trek started to be in production.
But
So,
57 since it aired.
right.
Let's
Now,
count to 60.
I go with the air dates
yeah.
personally.
Oh, yeah, we go with the air
Okay.
dates. But it's
Okay.
still amazing to think that we have now had 60 continuous years of something Star Trek being made. Some of it by professionals, some of it by the fans and amateurs, of course. And
Which I
that's
have an opinion about too. Remember that? Go ahead, Will.
oh yeah.
Does that mean technically Star Trek has been around longer than Doctor Who?
No, Doctor Who is 3 years older.
That's what I'm saying. Like that's what I'm saying.
66.
Right, because since
Oh,
since the making of the
63.
cage.
No, 63 for Doctor Who.
63.
Oh,
Doctor Who
66.
premiered the day after JFK was shot.
okay.
Literally.
So
No- November
okay.
22nd, JFK was shot. November 23rd.
I learned that from
Doctor
Adventures
Who.
in Space and Time.
Yes.
That documentary, yeah.
The fantastic movie made for the 50th anniversary. I love that. So we only had 5 issues of Star Trek Explorer this year, and they announced that the December one, which features a interview with William Shatner and some exclusive short fiction, will be the final issue.
What is Explorer? It's a magazine?
Yes,
Okay,
it's like it was used to be called Star Trek Magazine.
Yeah. Doctor Who has a version. Yeah.
But yeah, so this issue of Explorer is the final issue.
It's cutesy. I like it.
Yeah, exclusive interviews with Shatner, Delancey, Crosby, and Alan Ruck.
Alan Ruck.
Yeah, for the 30th anniversary of Generations.
Okay.
Exclusive short fiction from Una McCormick and David Mack. Editors past and present look back at their time in the captain's chair, and much more. So that should be on your newsstands now for those that don't have subscriptions. Okay, so other thing that I wanted to make sure we made mention of is the excellent work done by the Roddenberry Archive with OTOY. So here's the OTOY YouTube page. What you may have seen a month ago to go with the 30th anniversary of Generations, they have been putting together these short videos with using AI, and they created a new one in which it's Kirk in the and we had the return of Robin Curtis as Saavik with Spock's son.
Wait, Spock had a son?
Spock had a son.
I was wondering who that was. Like,
yeah, the story goes that when he went through the Pon farr on the Genesis planet, Saavik, fulfilled his desire, and
bore a child.
And yes, and the reason she couldn't go with the crew in the 4th movie, the reason she stayed on Vulcan was because she was with child. And that was actually, that's in the original script, but it was cut. But OTOY picked this up and ran with it, brought her back, put her back in Vulcan makeup and aged her. And you have this whole story. And then, of course, they did interviews with Shatner and George Takei.
I am mind blown.
Yeah, man, they left it on the cutting room floor.
Yeah.
I hate when that happens.
I don't know how to accept that.
Mind canon. Head canon,
No, basically, rather than let him die, which was evident from what we saw almost happen to B'Elanna and Tuvok, but rather than let him die, she mated with him.
Yes. Now, of course, they started this whole series with Regeneration a year ago, where they showed an AI. They had an AI of Spock standing over Kirk's grave on Viridian.
Yeah.
Where they tied it to season 3 of Picard, showing the saucer section being pulled up off the planet, and they also showed Spock retrieving Kirk's body. And then we had Kirk going into and now in the video that was released last month, Unification, it showed Kirk in the afterlife, seeing all these people that were lost, and then traveling by way of the Belarusian Norg that was introduced in Discovery, or Nord, I can't remember his name right now. he was sent
Betel
to
Geisian, the Lieutenant Yor?
Yor. Yes, Yor.
Yes, Yor was
He
there.
was sent by Yor to the Kelvin universe. So
That's explained in there?
Yes. So Kirk, without words, Kirk was sent to the Kelvin universe to be there on Spock's deathbed.
We're gonna have to have a different conversation about that later.
Yeah. Well, we've got a little bit of time before Section 31, so I encourage you to watch this. And there are other people who have taken all of their videos and put them together in this 1 30-minute clip.
You know that means we get to talk about my favorite movie of all time, right?
Yep, Generations.
Yes, it's been exactly 30 years last month, and that makes me feel so good because it's just my whole existence for 30 years. I love it. I love it.
Uh-huh.
Y'all saying at the same time. Yeah.
All right, let me see. What else I was going to cover? Of course, we did lose some Star Trek people this year. We lost Jerry Taylor. Tony Todd died last month.
Yeah, that sucked.
I went and rewatched The Visitor from Deep Space Nine.
The best one. Yeah.
And what's funny is the Tony Todd, the oldest we see the actor is portraying him at the age he was when he actually died.
For real?
Yeah.
So, oh my God, was that like a Simpson warning or something? Like
something like that,
yeah.
Man,
that's a loss. That's okay though. I mean,
yeah. Oh God, yes, he was.
This is a warning for all you Star Trek actors out there who aren't coming back to come and get your flowers. Just come and get your reward. Go on lower decks. Do your little. Just let us see you one last time.
And of course, the last big Star Trek news we had, other than with the end of Lower Decks and them teasing the possible spinoff, was last week when my boss, the Librarian of Congress, announced that Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan has joined the National Film Registry and is now part of the Library of Congress collection.
Yes.
Heck yeah.
First Star Trek anything to enter the film registry. So no episodes, no other movies. All 3 of the original Star Wars are in the collection already. But it was beautiful to see this added because it's a great film. But the reasonings given went beyond not just the fact that it was it's like the linchpin of the Star Trek everything. Star Trek is before and after Wrath of Khan.
Yeah. It's definitely
everything showed up to Wrath of Khan, and
yes.
And it changed, but the way it told the story just changed everything and made everything else possible.
I would agree with
Next Generation without Wrath of Khan.
It's saved.
Next Generation, we don't get Deep Space Nine, we don't get Voyager, we don't get Enterprise, we don't get Disco, Strange New Worlds, any of it.
100%.
So, and also they pointed out that it was a major acting role for a top Hispanic actor.
Yeah,
Ricardo Montalban, which is not something that is common in Hollywood.
Fair.
So, yeah.
Plus his storyline. I mean, but I agree with you. I think the most significant part of adding this to that registry or whatever, and us discussing it, is knowing that, unfortunately, with the first Star Trek or whatever, it almost died on the vine, right? So then this, very much like the Next Generation, ushered in. It was the bridge to a brand new way of storytelling and allowed. It's the same thing with Doctor Who, the 2005 series, right? It just re-established that audience and brought people who weren't even into Star Trek. Same thing with the 2009 Star Trek, by the way, too.
Yes.
Where they just, there were these sort of watershed events, and this is one of them.
Well, yeah, it is definite. We would not have gotten Discovery and all of New Trek without the Kelvin movies. It brought Star Trek. They had what was called franchise fatigue when they canceled Enterprise, and they were literally redoing storylines from previous seasons in Enterprise. They even brought Rene Auberjonois back for an episode, playing a different role that was an exact beat for beat same as an episode of Deep Space Nine that he had starred in.
Is it which one? Where they find them with his daughter and the holographic one?
Oasis.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was.
I like that episode.
It was great, and it was the very first acting performance by Annie Wershing, who would go on to play
the
the
daughter.
Queen in Discovery in Picard season 2.
Yeah.
And that was her very last acting performance, unfortunately, because we lost her to cancer just after that.
That's when they go young like that. God,
Yeah.
gross.
And it wasn't that. Well, she's old. She was older than you and I are, but still young.
Young.
Yeah. So, gentlemen, that was the year of Trek. So, it's just the three of us.
I mean, it's
I love
just it's just like so hard because it's just like, okay, not to be too much of a Debbie Downer, but I don't have that many high hopes for 2025
Why?
Why?
because it's like normally I'm very you both know this about me. I'm very optimistic. I'm overly
Very.
optimistic. I'm like the number one advocate for the Picard series 1 and 2, 1, 2, and 3. So it's like, you know, but and hell, there's even evidence of Lucifer being canceled 3 times, and each time they
the
came back
series.
and finished it, you know?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm kind of hoping, you know, for Prodigy or Lower Decks, you know, stuff like that. Or maybe a crossover movie reference to Discovery, you know, like something like that. Just shut these stupid comments down that I've been reading that Discovery is not part of the Prime universe. Yes, it is.
I don't
Yes,
get
it
that.
is.
Did I miss something?
I called that 2 weeks ago. That
You
was
said
gonna be
that.
drama.
You said that. I went to town in the comment section on them, and I said, bro, they're like, other than the original actors being either dead or too old to be casted, there is evidence of main Prime actors still living that made it to the Discovery universe. So yes, it's in the Prime universe.
Yeah.
Like, but other than Section 31 next month, and Strange New Worlds, which I'm very happy that they got renewed 2 times over,
Yes.
I think. What else
Oh,
is there?
Well, this is what we have for certain coming in 2025. I mean,
Okay.
we got the comics that I showed you, the lore war and all that.
Right.
We've got Section 31, January 24th. So that will be out then, the movie. Then the Stranger World Season 3 is in the can. So they're doing post-production now. It takes 5 to 6 months. So I'm expecting it somewhere around Valentine's Day.
Okay.
So then that's going to be 10 episodes of season 3 of Strange New Worlds.
An embarrassment of riches.
And so that's 10 weeks. That's February, March, April. Then by the end of the year, we'll get Starfleet Academy. And we'll have 10 weeks of that in the fall. And yes, there's room for more. I wish they haven't closed the door on Prodigy. There could be another season. They haven't said it's done.
We're okay. I think we're all forgetting the drought, the decades of drought that we are in an embarrassment of riches.
Yes.
And there's only so much. These guys, they rotate out of seasons now because things aren't going like this is why we're down to 10 episodes a season or less. This is why they don't be like, just bring your budgets down. Yeah, exactly.
I looked at the cost of what it took to make Picard. It was 8 to 9 million per episode.
It's dumb. Yep.
I was like, I understand that we're in the era where television looks like movies now. I get that. Dumb. But good God, like
VFX, they need a return. Yeah. Keith, sorry.
It's hard to take it back too much because the audience expects a certain level.
Yeah.
And if you're doing Picard, you have a cast that expects a certain pay as well. So,
inflation.
Strange New World is going to be predominantly a new cast. Yes, it's Holly Hunter and Paul Giamatti, but
Academy.
Yes, Academy. Yeah, Holly Hunter is the commandant of the Academy. Paul Giamatti is the villain of the series.
And, you already know the roles and shit. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then it's several new casts, and then they've announced a couple more recently. There's a WWE wrestler who has joined the cast.
Dave Bautista,
an Irish wrestler. She's
no, it's not Bautista.
No.
to your point, Will, um, I think because we got used to in our head of contiguity
Mhm.
of like no
Yeah.
breaks between.
Right.
Oh yeah, Holly Hunter, Paul Giamatti, Tatiana Maslany, who was
Oh God, She-Hulk.
fantastic in Orphan Black, and
She's
good in
great.
She-Hulk. Then Oded Fair comes back as Admiral Vance. Robert
I mean-
Picardo back as the Doctor.
I called that one.
Very
I
wise.
know you did.
Tilly. Tig Notaro back as Jet Reno.
I hope
Then
they did
Rebecca
this.
Quid
Well.
is the wrestler that's joined, and then they also added Zoe Steiner.
It seems like they realized that like the audience wanted Tig Notaro, the audience wanted Dave, they wanted Picardo, they wanted like certain people, and then they created a vehicle to bring these accessory characters together because they were popular.
And it continues the storyline in the 31st century. So it's continues.
That's a new playground, exactly.
Yes. And plus, as they said, Starfleet Academy in the 24th century is boring. It's, it's regular classes going, but the 31st century, it's Starfleet Academy reopening.
The most exciting stuff happens where they like finally get past the carpet on the decks of the Enterprise D, and finally like the switch of the post-Dominion War till we get to Picard.
Yeah,
there's a new evolutionary like stage
well,
where they go through,
and we got that with Prodigy. So
I haven't finished.
Yeah, you need to finish Prodigy season 2.
It's the animation, man. Honestly, I'm sorry. I don't know if you guys want to disagree or agree with me, but
there were moments that the animation looked pretty poor. Yes,
it hurts me to watch, to be honest.
Yeah,
it does hurt, Manny. If it had no ties to one of the shows that it leads up to, I'd be like, yeah, don't worry about it. But
the plot is so good. Yeah,
it's
that's why.
And it's so well written. Like,
yeah,
to me, like,
I do have a general question. I have a question for everyone here.
Okay.
And I've been thinking about this for a while. I've been monitoring AI. Like,
yes.
Obviously we're all talking about it and thinking about it and stuff. But there are new engines. There's a new one. And they're all crazy when they come out and stuff like that. You can feed this stuff. If you've ever seen like the Unreal Engine 5, or if you've ever seen like newer renderings and stuff, you can feed this thing like a plot and it spits out a movie.
Yeah.
It spits out an actual movie. Guys, can we like feed it these plots?
Well, I think one
and
of the
spit
terms
out our own movies?
I mean, well, go ahead, Keith.
I mean, no, my background as a writer, I would rather not, as I don't like the idea of AI taking over the role of writers.
It's not. It's been written.
Yeah, I would
talk about rendering it.
Write my own story than try to use AI.
I think
using AI to take the story and rendering it into a film. Imagine taking your comic books of the God Wars.
So you're
with
saying
a real
that if
Cisco.
Keith, so you're saying if Keith already written the story, like
Okay.
in its entirety,
yes,
then it's like okay, yeah, because we still want our Jake Siskos in the future. Like,
so this dovetails to another question that I had earlier, and I held my tongue.
Okay.
You mentioned it. There's a few points that I'm remembering. Okay, the Lieutenant Yor one is the last one, but this one is in the middle. Remember when CBS got their all pissy about Titan and Ascension? No, USS Axion. And Axanar.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, and that was like a whole, civil.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was, but like, it disheartened me because it felt like, and even those actors, right? Even like Tim Russ and whatever, they all acted in these things. Like they're
of Gods and Men and the various.
So I want to know where Keith sits on the legality, not only the legality, but the morality and the ethics, because I want to know what this man thinks about what's correct.
Okay, I first need to say
about this.
I am an employee of the Library of Congress, but the opinions expressed in this and other podcasts on this show are my own. I am not speaking for the library in any way, shape, or form, especially not in the copyright office.
I love the disclaimer. I love that disclaimer.
Just covering my own ass, okay?
I believe it. Yeah.
I like it when it's good. Star Trek Continues is beautiful. It perfectly carries the end of the original series to the motion picture. It connects it perfectly. They've done it in the comics too, in a different way, but Star Trek Continues, I thought, did an excellent job. I've been to the Star Trek original series set tour in Ticonderoga, New York, and love it. They had the stage that they built in Atlanta, and it was officially licensed by CBS for the Southeast US. They lost their lease and they moved to Sandusky, Ohio 2 months ago. And because they are now in the Northeast United States, they are infringing on Ticonderoga's lease.
What?
I mean, they're not on Ticonderoga's territory.
Yeah, I hear you.
Right.
So they got a space in a mall in Sandusky, Ohio, and it's becoming an issue. And there was a cease and desist letter to Trek Zone that was running this, but that's where they did the Farragut series.
That's right. Yeah.
It was down in Atlanta. It is now moved to Ohio, and it's become an issue. I've watched some of the fan stuff. I would love to see. Axanar looked interesting to me, and the problem became. And all right, let me put it to you this way: I've attended many Comic-Cons, and most of them being Virginia Comic-Cons, which are smaller time here in Northern Virginia. And I went with my publishing company. And I was there with my authors promoting their original work. Some of it was sci-fi, some of it was fantasy, some other things. I was barely getting any sales despite the cost of being there, while the tables around me were making bank on artwork created off of licensed items that they did not own the license to.
I see. I see.
And it was great being able to get stickers for my car, decals for my car of the TARDIS and Yoda and others, and to be able to see artwork done with Patrick Bateman from
American Psycho?
American Psycho, yes. And like the table next to me at one Comic-Con had bags of gray dust, and it said the Black Panther Avengers Endgame action figure.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, and it is hilarious. It's brilliant, but they do not own the license. And I always brought this up, and I have had one of my artists on when a podcast that we did with my company to talk about this. That we are selling our stuff that is our IP.
Fair.
And we could not get anyone to pay attention to us. But the people that were, doing their own original artwork based off of other people's IP were doing great. So I'm a bit jaded when it comes to that.
Because you're a good boy. You're a Boy Scout. And I hear you.
But here I am on a podcast talking about Star Trek. That we had to put a disclaimer at the beginning, inspired by Star Trek, created by Gene Roddenberry. I have in the post credits that we are not sanctioned by CBS in any way. We do not speak for CBS. We hold no license and claim no license to anything. But Will,
what do you got to say on that? Because I mean, you're both in America. Listen, I'm not American.
Right. No, it's all valid. It's all valid.
Your opinions are a little more valid here because you're both content creators.
Okay. Right. So when I watched the documentarian style of Axanar, I remember seeing
good.
It was so well done. Yeah. Remember, I expressed on this show the feeling that I felt on the Vox episode when the Enterprise D came back.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. It was basically me saying, like, me as a then 29 or however old I was, 29, 28 year old, but I felt like even though intellectually, yes, I know I'm a Trekkie, full on and full through, I know that, but watching it made me feel like, boom, I'm here. I'm finally here. I've worked so hard to get to this point. Now I'm here, and now I'm here with my friends. You know, you guys, because no one here gives a shit about Star Trek. But well, Axanar was laying down the groundwork of that feeling. It was laying down the groundwork. I loved how well. Yeah, I loved how well it was made.
It was slick as hell. I think that's the thing about XNR that is like, of all the other things, and what's his name, the Russian dude from the, from the original. Okay, that dude is just haranguing all of these other Star Trek actors and like hanging around. And God bless, I think he has good intentions and he's kept it moving and stuff. But like, you watch his stuff and it's just a cut below of like what it could. And then you saw Axanar. And you saw it on the web. I watched it online for the first time. I didn't watch it like, you know what I'm saying? And I watched something that was at the level of regular Star Trek. And I was like, damn.
And being done out of love, not to make. And they did try to make money off of it a little bit, and that's where they got in trouble.
That's where I got in trouble. And now
shut up! Are you kidding? Is that the truth?
It was. I mean,
it wasn't.
It was any amount of money,
because they were raising money.
Yes.
Not that they were monetizing the clip. If they monetize the clip, would that be okay?
No.
They
couldn't even raise money to pay their own employees.
Yeah, everyone had to volunteer their time.
I remember the GoFundMe. Listen, before even the CBS stop and desist or whatever, I followed it. It was a couple of years of following the pre-Axanar stuff before they like made it and stuff. I did follow that. And there was a GoFundMe equivalent or something that they were doing. I can't remember the website it was, but they were raising funds to get the project off the ground. And then they did it, and it was so good. And I think that the reception of that, and then eventually, as you're saying, Keith, that they moved into a monetization space. So I want to redirect the conversation because this is why I've asked these specific questions. And listen, if you got many units, I'm going to ask you these questions.
I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Me and Keith, yes. Me and Keith can tell you, yes.
I acknowledge the rare ability we have here to have you on our screens, and I cherish this, Manny. You are awesome, and I love having
you. I love you guys, but like us as fans, and we're leaning back and genuine, like, guys. I know that Keith is a good boy, and so is Marie. Like, she's. You guys like watch on your things. I stream and I like sometimes I torrent or sometimes I download. I'm sorry, internet. I don't always like pay for all this stuff, and I don't have the deep pockets to do all those things. But I get why it exists, of course, like in parallel. All that to say, what is right and what is good may not always be the same. So, like, you see what I'm saying? I think to Keith's point about what is good, if it's good, if Axanar is good. As a fan, you're going to be disappointed regardless that it didn't get developed. And to Will's point about 2025 and being disappointed, they only have so much money that they can throw in projects, and they don't want Marvel fatigue. They don't want to have that like Star Trek, like they want to milk this thing for years. So they're not funding by series anymore. They're funding by seasons. Yeah. So, buddy, we're gonna get Lord X back, man. We're gonna get Prodigy back, but it might be in 5 or 10 years. You know what I'm saying? The rotation of these dummies and the way that they like think monetarily.
We're going to get legacy, but it's going to take a while.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying about like this, by the way, why I'm dovetailing these two questions. What is right and what is good?
Yeah.
Lower Decks is good.
Yes.
Is it right if a fan, we have the technology now to make our own Lower Decks, guys?
Yes,
if you want it, you know what I'm saying?
The video I was talking about with OTOY. I mean, they're working with the Roddenberry archive, so they are fully licensed, sanctioned, good.
So
there's nothing stopping other people from making their own AI videos with.
Now you understand.
I have a question for Keith then on that regard.
Yes.
And I know we're over an hour, but this is piggybacking.
My show, it's fine. Yeah.
Okay. So with the Roddenberry archives, with what we saw, which is the for I call it Generations 2. But well, how with the whole Axanar situation, how did they and I understand they have permission from the families and but how did they get permission to even make that in the first place? Because
That's a good question.
it's a direct spinoff
It was
of
before.
right, Generations, and now that you confirmed it for me, Star Trek 3. So like, it's like, how did they get permission to do that without getting in trouble? Or I noticed that it was under 15 minutes, which I remember was one of the rules that they
Yes.
placed, that if you make a Star Trek fan film, you have to call it a Star Trek fan film at the end of it. It can't be more than 15 minutes, and you cannot have a sequel to it. Like, which I think is stupid. It's the rules that I hate. It's the rules. The rules are stupid. But what do you think, Keith?
Oh.
The rules exist for a reason. We have a legal framework in copyright, patent, and trademark. Marie could go into this a bit better than I can, but I do have a fair knowledge of it. There is a certain amount of time that certain things belong under copyright control, and then they eventually will reach the public domain. That's why we're seeing these horrible, fake, bad horror movies involving Winnie the Pooh and others, because those are now public domain. So people are making these schlocky, awful horror movies because they can, because it's public domain now.
So in 40 years, we'll have the rights to make Kirk however we want.
Yes. Is that true?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, once copyright law hits on Roddenberry,
it's done.
Everything that Roddenberry created for the original series would be public domain.
Isn't there a thing like, I read once that Warren Beatty never wanted a version of what's the detective's name?
Dick Tracy.
Dick Tracy.
Happened there is Warren Beatty optioned the film rights to the Dick Tracy comics.
Right.
Under the understanding that he holds the rights as long as he's making Dick Tracy live action content.
So in order to hold the IP, he just pops on in these small like interviews or something every like 20 years or something to refresh.
Yeah, it's like every 7 years.
Every 7 years. So he's maintained it so that no one else.
On the yellow coat, he puts on the suit, he puts on the yellow fedora, and does an interview as Dick Tracy. He did it with Leonard Maltin. He's done it with other people.
I ain't mad at you.
He records a 20-minute interview. It completely covers his hold on it. He doesn't want anyone else making a Dick Tracy movie without his say-so.
I get it. Yeah. So what I mean is, what is the senescence on Star Trek stuff, to Will's point?
Okay. Part of it, I mean, certain things are owned by corporations, but other ones are not. Like Mickey Mouse is about to be public domain.
I heard that.
It was created. It doesn't matter if Disney uses it for everything. It goes by the creator, and a corporation can't hold the copyright.
Oh.
Yeah.
Are these only on American things?
Yes. U.S. copyright law. Yeah. Although there is a difference, because I remember a few years ago, they were debating extending the copyright law, and our U.S. Congress couldn't get their act together to do it. But Disney, for a while, kept on having them kick the can farther to keep Mickey Mouse from going.
Yes.
Always did it 3 or 4 years early, so it didn't look like it was them doing it. Well, our current Congress, no comment because I work for them. But they were unable to pass any extension, but they were about to pass it right before public domain hit for anyone who died in the year 1945. And that became a major issue with two specific people born in 1945, two people that never met but were connected, because one of them is one of the most horrible human beings to ever walk the earth, and one was an incredible little girl that never got a chance to live.
Anne Frank and
Adolf Hitler.
Right.
Both died in 1945. So a few years, in 2019, The Diary of Anne Frank and Mein Kampf became public domain. The Anne Frank Museum in Denmark attempted to put out a brand new printing of The Diary of Anne Frank that would benefit the museum, with a new forward and all kinds of new things, but they were held back by the debate on extending the copyright law, and plus somebody tried to make the argument that Anne didn't write it. That her
I've heard
father
that. I've heard that theory as well.
That her father wrote it, and since he died in the 50s, that would give them extra years. And with the fact that he did write a foreword to it, they said, well, there's your proof that he did write part of it. But no one was trying to keep Hitler's trademark copyright going. But now Mein Kampf can be out there and put in text for educational purposes without worrying about getting in anyone's license.
Okay. Let's bring it away from Hitler.
Okay, yeah. So there will be a time that Star Trek will be public domain, and you will be able to make adventures of James T. Kirk, Spock, McCoy,
however you want.
Pike even, because he's predates.
He was the first, yeah.
Right. And while they're also trying to make the official stuff. And you're going to have people that are going to do it poorly. Because, people are learning. It's fine.
Okay.
But when you try to make money off it, that's when it becomes right now, it's when you try to make money off it, it's a problem.
Listen, I want to take these books. So my frustration comes with Deep Space Nine. Okay, I think it's all you guys know that we're all bothered by this.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And the fact that they could never just get their act together, man. Like Armin Shimmerman and like all of these amazing, amazing people that like every time I watch DS9, by far, and
Manny,
no Star Trek touches this.
Well, Manny, you don't know. We got a Deep Space Nine continuation 3 weeks ago.
What?
So the penultimate episode of Lower Decks. Okay. Have you watched any of Lower Decks?
No.
Okay.
I mean, not the new stuff. I've watched like to season 4.
Okay.
Never seen Manny be stumped before.
Season 2. Remember, they made a transporter clone of Boimler.
Yeah.
And
he went to Section 31, right?
Stayed on the Titan with Riker and Troy.
Yeah.
Toward the end of season 3, they killed him off.
To join Section 31, right?
Join Section 31.
Yeah.
The penultimate episode of season 5, and so far the next to final episode of Lower Decks period, picked up that storyline.
Oh.
Where it's Captain Boimler commanding the USS. Oh, shoot! What was it? Anaximander or something.
It was a Defiant class ship.
Yeah, it was a Defiant class ship. Hold on, the episode was called Fisher Quest, and it's the journey of William Boimler commanding his own ship, which is Anaximander, yes, named for the philosopher that first discussed the ideas of alternate dimensions. It's a dimension-hopping ship.
Okay.
And it's made up of a crew picked up from alternate dimensions.
Oh, that's smart.
The first really officer / science officer is T'Pol. T'Pol having been married to Trip Tucker for 63 years.
Oh, so all of those like feels like that's what they're hitting.
Helmsman was Curzon Dax.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've been watching a lot of this Gareth Shear thing. Like,
yes,
yeah.
The political officer was Garrick.
Yeah.
Married to a holographic projection of Bashir.
Oh, he's holographic.
They're each from a different universe, but yeah.
Yeah, from a different universe, but in their universes, they were married to their counterparts.
Okay.
But you have them holding hands, you have them kissing, you have
a
relationship that a lot of people that you saw.
Yeah, of course.
Between the lines.
I saw what's it called? What We Left Behind.
Oh yeah.
I know like what was supposed to happen. I understand. So okay. That's cool.
Yeah.
But I know we're well over the time. I want to feed all of these comic books about the God Killer series and Cisco and that ending of I don't know if it was in Lower Decks where Kira is the or even the season seven,
Eight.
no,
Season
8
eight
or
of
whatever,
Season 8
nine.
would have been
from What
season
We
8.
Left Behind, feed it to an AI,
Yeah.
generate realistic movement, sound, whatever, and get me my DS9 season 8.
Say,
whatever
give
it
me
was.
my DS9. That's only one.
Well, what's incredible about that is that they killed off Nog immediately in their season
Yes.
premiere. And how could they know? How did they know that we were going to lose Aaron Eisenberg?
It's the Simpsons effect, as William said.
Seriously.
They called it.
Yeah.
Eisenberg class ship.
Yes, I do. The USS Nog and Eisenberg class ship. Yes.
I like to think
usually
it was.
behind me when I'm home.
I like to think it was like a last minute edit.
No,
Like,
it was
No, that's straight out of their writer's room during that documentary series. It's
the documentary was released 3 years before he died.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for real.
I haven't seen the documentary yet. I'm
Dude,
sorry.
it's
Oh my
so good.
I haven't seen it
Listen,
yet.
I'm not one to make anyone feel bad about not seeing shit. So
I need to see it.
You need to see
dude,
that.
it's so good.
And now out is To the Journey, the Voyager.
It's the
documentary.
proper season, but I don't like that they made Kira kind of like not good in it. You know?
Kind of like not
They
good.
made her a vet. He was a
She's
vet.
a little suspicious. Yeah, but she's suspicious.
Yeah. Lower Decks had her as Colonel Kira, commander of Deep Space Nine.
Yep. Yeah.
But
She
then
comes
she becomes a
back.
Vedic.
But
Yeah,
she's
it's
a Vedic
badass.
in the season 8.
In Lower Decks too, right? So they do continue.
No.
She's not in Lower Decks.
Didn't they
She's
do
not-
an episode
she-
and they visit DS9 and
Yes.
Kira's
Well,
there?
as Colonel
She's not a
Kira.
Vedic.
She's not a Vedic.
Right. Okay.
We see her. We see Quark. And I think that's it, right? And
But we later
Lorne-
saw Rom and Lita when they went to Ferenginar.
That's
right. And they're
And
back
then-
and forthing, and Beckett Mirrors trying to coach
We-
Boimler on how to negotiate or something.
And
that it was Captain Freeman was negotiating with
Freeman.
Beckett's mother. Yes.
Lower Decks for the deep cuts. There is no other series, but like again,
I
for
think-
the
I think yeah.
Yeah, when we knew everyone knew that everyone who watched Lower Decks that cared knew Harry Kim was going to be in the next to last episode because they teased it in the trailer. But then they gave us T'Pol, Garrick, Bashir,
Curzon, just
and it was Jolene Blaylock back as T'Pol. It was
I saw a post on that.
It was Alexander Siddig.
She was a fan. Listen, you can tell who's a fan, right? Like she was upset with the last season of Enterprise. By the way, and a lot of people hate on it, but it's one of my favorite series actually because it ties us together. Yeah.
I love the final season. It's the fact
really?
that they had the plunging neckline and the several episodes where she had full rear view.
I'm not complaining.
Yeah, they did her the same way they did Seven, right?
Father of daughters.
They did her, Seven, and partially Kira the same way.
Yeah,
partially Kira, because I think Kira like ended up getting more like
sexualized.
No, not more sexualized, but like for Kira, but more like her uniform was more.
It did change. Yeah,
it was tight.
Oh, Get Out.
Right.
So I think I saw something about that.
Yeah, originally, in the first season, Kira was wearing a very padded uniform, and you had Dax in these sleek uniforms.
I see.
And then
you're right.
over time, you had Lita in the very plunging neckline. Like they just traded on all of it, but they never went as hard on it as they did with 7 of 9 at T'Pol. So,
fair.
All right. We've been talking for an hour and 19 minutes now. Thank you guys for joining me tonight. This was a great conversation. I am so grateful that you could join. You could be on.
Good to see you, boys.
It is December 30th in 20 minutes for me here on the East Coast United States. It is already December 30th for Manny. So we are looking at the end of 2024. I wish everyone a happy new year, all the best in the holidays. I know from my perspective, it's going to be a very interesting 2025.
Oh gosh.
It's going to be great, boys. Don't worry.
All right.
just real quick, remember to check out our sponsors. Of course, you could sign the thing to save Lower Decks, the change.org petition. Check out my merch store, tpublic.com/storage/swift. Some wonderful art stuff up there. If you want to set up your own TeePublic site, use the link t.pub/lix/21. You can set up your own merch store and get discounts going. That's a different thing. And then, of course, try out Sticker Mule. Use the link in the description below and get $10 off your first purchase. Thank you all for watching. It's been real. Happy New Year, guys.
Happy New Year.
Let's roll those closing credits. Oh, they changed the name. I gotta find it again. Where is it? Oh, Media Assets. That's what they did. All right, here we go.